Hi friends, welcome back to another Pick a Card Tarot reading. My name is JP and this is Junodrome Tarot. So today we're going to be doing a reading on what important messages do you need to hear right now. So in a moment I'm going to show you these three different piles here for you to choose from. Each one has a reading giving you important messages that you need to hear in this moment. So in a moment I'll show you which readings to choose from. When you find one that feels like it's calling you, down below in the description section of this video, you can find a link to your reading. Anyway, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you in your reading. Bye! Hi there, pile number one. Welcome to your reading. So you chose the reading with this card here, and this card is a nightshade, I believe. And the quote on the back says, "The power of imagination makes us infinite." And it's a John Muir quote. So, with it being a night card, I have a feeling that we're going to talk about some shadow stuff, which is fine. Sometimes it can be a little challenging, but it's not anything to be concerned of. So it's not necessarily anything scary. It's just sometimes we have to go through our own personal shadow or our own the subconscious stuff. The shadow isn't anything bad about us. It's just something it's the stuff that we don't want to look at about ourselves, right? And so a lot of times the reasons why we don't want to look at those things are cultural, right? There are things that are assumptions that we're making about ourselves and about life that are societal based. They're from the outside, the way that we're supposed to view ourselves, the way we're supposed to think about things. And so, sometimes there's a disconnect between who we are and what we need for ourselves and what we want to think about ourselves versus what we are. And so sometimes that shadow is where that disconnect can come in. And so, yeah, we're going to take a look at what these cards are. So for this particular reading, I'm on you might notice I'm in a different setting right now. I'm in Boston Common. So I'm on a trip right now, and I only brought one tarot deck, and I brought an oracle deck, and I brought our little decision cards here. So it's going to be kind of a basic reading, but we'll dive right in, and I have more tarot cards if we need to dive in for more. So the first card, we've got the Hermit. I'm going to just read them all out here, and then we'll dive into it. The Hermit, the Moon, the Ace of Cups, the Devil, Judgment. And then for your oracle cards, we'll just read everything out right now. Seed spells. Create your story. It is the most potent form of magic. The Fairy Harper. Find the words to long-forgotten songs and dance to the music in your soul. Yeah. And then the final card is the Soothsayer. Travel the road seldom taken. Okay, so let's dive into this. I definitely feel like, with the Hermit card here, there's this sort of energy about needing to go off and do your own thing, being on your own in your own terms, and not necessarily allowing other people's thoughts and decisions to really kind of sway who and what you are. And, like I was channeling kind of at the beginning there, I do think that this reading is about this sort of need to not care as much about what other people think of you. And I know that that's hard, right? Like, that's never an easy situation to be in, especially, we're social beings, we're social creatures, right? We exist in this world interacting with other people. And so, oftentimes, because of that, we change and adapt ourselves to fit into groups because, human beings are as a species, we evolved to be together. So we have these group dynamics that are just hammered in. But, a lot of times, in order to really come back into your own self and figure your own thing out, it's really, really, really important to take some time on your own and be on your own for a bit and figure out who you are and what your perspective is. Because a lot of times what we don't understand is, when we grow up, through childhood, we have all of these assumptions on how we need to act and interact with people to fit in, to feel right. These are survival mechanisms that we develop, and behaviors that we develop to cope through life. And a lot of times those coping mechanisms, though they may have served you well in childhood to get you through to where you are as an adult, those coping mechanisms don't need to happen anymore. They don't need to be here anymore. They don't need to be the way that you're acting through life anymore. And so there's a certain sense in this reading that a lot of that stuff, it's time to finally let that go, because, when you do that, when you let go of those acting in a certain way in order to please other people, you come back into yourself in a way where, you become a lot more self-confident, right? When you finally figure out who you are and what you want, you would be shocked at how much you moving through the world in that way will impress people, or, it'll make people, like people won't care, at the end of the day. And some people might, and that's a good indication of, maybe somebody to put up some strong boundaries with, because ultimately, like, this is your life that you're living. It's not anyone else's. And so you don't have to put yourself in the position to be anything for anybody, right? Yeah. So let's dive into these cards. I think that you're at a point now where you're changing the way things are in your life, and a lot of times that can be a really deeply challenging thing. At the beginning, I was talking about the shadow and having to, overcome this sort of shadow element, and the Devil card can talk about that. The Devil card, it gets kind of a bad rap in tarot because, the devil symbolism, right, or whatever. But, like, ultimately, the devil represents liberation in the tarot. So it talks about the things that bind us, but it talks about gaining the knowledge of the things that are binding us so that we can free ourselves from them. Most of the time, the Devil card is depicted as two people that are chained to the devil, but those chains are always, like, unhinged, right? To indicate that the people who are chained to the devil have chosen the chains, right? They've chosen to chain themselves there. They haven't, they're not there by force, even though maybe they have convinced themselves they are. Ultimately, we always have choice and free will in this life. And so we have the ability to choose a different story for ourselves all the time. And, the Devil card can talk about that. It talks about, finally understanding the things that are holding us back and allowing ourselves to finally let those things go and move on to something else and create a new story for ourselves instead of following the old story continuously. And, with the Judgment card here, I feel like this is kind of the work that you're going through. Because of the Ace of Cups, it really does feel like you've done some of this work already. So you might be anywhere on this continuum here. You might be just starting this work, or you may have done a lot of this work already. But regardless, I think that you're at the point where you can finally, let go of some of these things from your past that have been holding you back and see them from a new perspective, because that's what the Judgment card talks about. It talks about opening yourself up to a new perspective, a new way of seeing reality and life and all things around you from a way that's more, you could say, more mature. You could say a wiser perspective. You've gained the wisdom of life experience, right? And so whereas before, certain situations you may have seen from one way, oh, I can't believe X, Y, and Z happened to me. This is so terrible that this kind of thing happened to me. The Judgment card talks about being able to see it from the higher perspective, where it's like, okay, yes, I see that these difficult and challenging things have happened to me, yes, I see that I've been through these difficult situations that were really challenging and didn't help me, and were really awful. But at the same time, I can see how much stronger of a person I may currently be, and I can see that there is so much wisdom I have gained from this situation, and I can see that I don't want to live in that way anymore. And I can see that I finally know that, yes, I may have gone through these things, but I choose to change my situation. I choose to move to something else. I choose to set this thing down. I choose to move away from whatever. And so I feel like you're at the point where you're ready to do that work. You're ready to move in this new direction, and you have some hints from these little forest fae cards with the soothsayer, travel the road seldom taken. I do think that you're walking away from feeling as though you have to conform to what other people want from you, and also conform to what you feel you were supposed to be doing. And you're ready to go off on your own path and do your own thing in a way that, not everybody's going to understand. And to a lot of people, it might look weird and not right and, like something strange. But at the end of the day, it's your life and it's your choice to move through life however you want. And so, with this card, it's really saying, you have that power to walk a different path than the path that you may have felt you had to walk before. With this fairy Harper, find the words to long forgotten songs and dance to the music in your soul. So, there's a certain sense of like reconnecting to your own past in this as well. There may be some things from childhood that you loved that were really powerful for you that you've forgotten about. And then also with long forgotten, there's a little bit of ancestral stuff here too, like maybe connecting into some of the ancient wisdom that exists within your own personal family tree, tuning back into older ways of being and understanding, and of course this is a fairy fae deck, so it is heavily steeped in paganism, so you don't have to identify with the pagan symbols or anything like that. But if you do, this may be a hint to dive further into that area and arena of life. Obviously, take that as it resonates. Not everybody's going to be interested in that. But if you are, maybe look into it. And then the final one is seed spells. Create your story. It is the most potent form of magic. And so I think that the final card in this is really talking about how, you're really the one who's writing your own destiny here. This is very much like the Magician card in the tarot. Like you are the one who is holding the cards. You are the one who is in control. And so ultimately, it's always up to you to decide what it is you want to do for yourself, what it is you want to create for yourself, what kind of life you want to build for yourself. It's up to you. It always really is. And so a lot of times, we can get really lost in feeling as though we're powerless in a certain situation, in any situations. And sometimes we feel that way because we've given away our power to others, right? Well, I can't do this because X, Y, and Z. Well, by saying that, you're giving your power to X, Y, and Z. And so, this is talking about kind of taking that back. And yeah, if you've made commitments that you don't want to cancel, that's one thing. And maybe you need to follow through with certain things because you feel that's important. That's fine. But ultimately, though, by saying, oh, I can't believe X person is doing this to me because of blah, 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 you always have the power and the tools of walking away, of creating something new, of changing your situation and your circumstance. And so, I do think, especially with that Devil card here, this reading is really about kind of walking your own path. And there may be some instances of changing the current dynamic that you're existing in. And that's always hard, especially if, you have a really long established reality going that you feel really stuck in. A lot of times that's hard to change. And so, take small actionable steps, do what you can in the moment. Feel what it is that you have capacity to move through and do so, I'm not telling you to throw your whole life away here, right? Do what you need to do, right? But sometimes it doesn't take that, right? Sometimes those drastic steps aren't necessary, and it's just a matter of changing a certain thing around or moving in a different way, or, even just having your own opinion in a situation. And if other people don't like it, okay, that's on them. It's not on you, anything like that. Horn for confirmation. So don't feel as though, you're stuck in a situation where you have to completely throw everything away, because I don't necessarily feel that for you. I feel like it's time for you to move into something new, but not necessarily in a way where you are destroying everything, right? Um, I don't know. I got on a tangent with that. I think that there needs to be some more cards here. So let's pull another card and kind of see where we're at after that. I just want to pull maybe like 2 more. All right, there we go. Okay, so we have the Ace of Swords. Yes, okay. And we have the Two of Cups. Interesting. So yeah, the Two of Cups, sometimes it talks about love and stuff, and a lot of people like to interpret it that way, but a lot of times too, it can talk about reuniting with your own being and your own soul here. And I really do feel that for you in this reading. With the Ace of Swords, it's talking about a new perspective. So this new beginning, it's allowing yourself to change your mind. And by doing so, by changing your mind, by changing your thoughts, then the external world will change around you. Because by allowing yourself to see things in a new, even seeing things in your own perspective, right? Maybe you've been a people pleaser or something, and you've been stuck changing and adapting your point of view and your position to whoever in the room needs from you, right? And if you're in one of those kind of situations, I feel like maybe you're being given the opportunity now to take a step back with that Hermit card, to just take a break from certain people and certain situations for a little bit, and really kind of come to terms with who you are and what you want for yourself. And when you hone that in, then everything else will fall into place. It'll become a lot easier. So I think that you're being given the opportunity in this moment, whether you so to choose it or not, and it's going to be an active choice that you need to make on yourself and take those actionable steps toward this. But if you so choose, you're being given the opportunity to really change your perspective, view things differently, and allow that change to alter your own world for the better. So if you want, you can take that opportunity. Anyway, pile number 1, I'm going to leave you there. I think that was a great reading. Let me know what you think about it either way in the comments. I love hearing from everybody. If you would like a private reading from me, you can find the link on my website. I am making an announcement in this tarot reading, and I'm putting it online as well. I'm going to be pausing my tarot reading starting August 1st. My private readings. I'll be doing the videos continuously, but I'm going to be doing some extended traveling for many months, and so I don't know exactly how the private readings are going to fit into my life at that point. So if you wanted a private reading with me, now is kind of your last chance. I'm doing this kind of continuation of my sale. I might do some flash deals coming at the end, so stay tuned. But up until August 1st, you have to book a private reading with me. So if you wanted one, you really want one, now is your opportunity. And I don't know when that's going to open back up again after August, so you might want to get in on it now. Anyway, thank you so much, pile number 1. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will catch you later. Bye. Hi there, pile number 2. Welcome to your reading. So this is going to be your reading for what important messages do you need to hear? What is the important message coming to you right now from the universe, from your guides, from spirit, from source, from however you want to conceive of it? We're leaving it pretty open here. Open-ended messages that you need. You chose pile number 2, which is the pile with these moths, the moth card. And the quote on the back from this is, "Seek the light." And this is from the How to Be a Wildflower deck by Katie Daisy. I love using this deck as the choosing cards because the art is so beautiful. You can see that. So seek the light. There could be a situation going on in your life where maybe you're under a challenge, or there could be some difficulty. It doesn't have to be. This could also indicate that you've been working towards creating something new for yourself, right? Moving towards the light, and I think it's important to remember it can get pretty easy to get mixed up in some spirituality understandings, particularly in like the New Age movement and that kind of thing, where we think that love and light is the only thing that we can have, right? But in reality, we want to be full balanced beings, and so but that can go in the opposite direction too. I've know plenty of people in magic circles and people who are into mystical stuff who feel like love and light is so stupid, so they get really mixed up in like dark stuff, so it's just like that kind of dichotomy is kind of what we want to try to blur out a little bit and have a full non-dual understanding of reality, right? And so that kind of balance work, I think, is a part of what's going on for you in your life right now. Pile number 2 is creating a healthy balance where you feel like a full and complete person, right? Where you feel like you can deal with complex, difficult emotions without letting them, having to block them out, right? That when you're having feelings, it's so important to feel everything that you need to, and then move through those feelings and come to a sense of clarity and a place on the other side of things. So we've got a bunch of tarot cards for you. Since I'm traveling right now, I just have one tarot deck. So we'll just read from the one. I pulled a bunch of cards from it, and it is the Wild Unknown Tarot. And then I also have a couple of oracle cards from the Forest Fae deck. And then if we feel like there needs to be more cards in this reading, I can always pull more. So I'll just read out all of the tarot first, and we'll see where that leaves us. We've got the Father of Swords, which is the King of Swords in most decks. We've got the Magician, super powerful. The Wheel of Fortune, that is great. I did kind of peek at these when I was pulling it. I didn't pull it ahead of time, but I just, the Sun, yeah. The Hierophant. And so I know a little bit about what's going on. Every time, when you shuffle the cards, sometimes they flip over. We've got the Mother of Swords, which is the Queen of Swords in most decks. And we've got the Two of Wands. Yeah, okay, so this is great. I think that you are already on a really powerful journey, pile number 2. 2, 2, 2. There's a lot of 2 symbols going on in this reading as well, which is fitting for pile number 2, right? So it is kind of that balancing of forces, the non-dual energy, right? The 2 becoming 1, the blending of opposite forces. I think this is work that you've been doing, pile number 2. I think that you've been working on this kind of thing for a while, because you take with you the power of the magician, who is in control of their own destiny, right? You are taking the reins of your life and of your situation and creating a life for yourself that makes sense, that is what you need for yourself. You've come to the conclusion, and I'm getting this, whether this is a recent thing or this has been going on for a while, definitely with all the 2s, I do think that you've moved on from the very beginnings energy, right? And now you've been on this journey for a while. If anything, this is kind of feels a little bit like a continuation of pile number 1, but it's like you are on the next step after pile number 1. So like if you want to look at where maybe you were in the past, you could check out pile number 1. But what I feel for you, pile number 2, is that at this point in your journey, you've taken the reins of your life, and you've allowed this new perspective to come in. But the Mother of Swords and the Father of Swords, you have both the King and Queen of Swords. To have that powerful swords energy that talks about the mind, right? I think you're a very intelligent person. I think that you have come to a new understanding of your life and of your situation in the past, either recent or far past. And you've taken that new perspective and new understanding, and you've used it to change your reality. You've used it to move into something new. I see a butterfly flying around, so definitely a lot of butterfly symbolism, which talks about transformation, right? The butterfly is all about, and it's cool you have the moth too, because moths are kind of similar to butterflies in this way. They start off as this caterpillar, right? And then, they go into this chrysalis stage where, in the chrysalis stage, you have to, what happens is the caterpillar literally, its cells dissolve and become this sort of goop in this soup, and then it remakes its entire body from that soup and emerges from the chrysalis as a butterfly, as this new thing, as this powerful transformational energy. And so I think in your past, you've been in that chrysalis stage, and now I think that you're emerging. You're finally emerging as this butterfly, pile number 2. And so, with this powerful transformational energy, you're coming out into a new thing, a new reality. With the Sun card here and the Wheel of Fortune, it's like favor is finally in your fortune, and you're emerging from darkness. I feel that. I feel like you've gone through a dark night of the soul period in your past, and now you are emerging into this new reality. There's a hummingbird over there too. Oh, this is so beautiful. This place is here. I'm staying with my aunt right now, and yeah, this whole property is really beautiful. My grandfather lives nearby. Everybody's nearby. It's really great. Anyway, I don't need to talk about my personal life, but with the sun here, um, this powerful, beautiful energy of the sun is coming in, this bright new day. And so with it, you're in this period with the Two of Wands, which is great, where you have the ability now to plan for your future, right? And it's really important to be living in the present moment, right? It's important to remember that, the past no longer exists. It's done. As much as we can remember the past and we can remember what's happened to us and we can remember the difficulties in life, the important thing to remember in this moment is you have a clean slate right now. In this present moment, all of those things from the past, they don't necessarily apply anymore. They aren't what's happening. They are only memories that exist within your mind. And so, this Two of Wands is encouraging you to really think about, what would you do if you had a clean slate? What would you do if all of the things from the past were no longer holding you back? What would you do if you had an opportunity to create for yourself whatever you wanted, right? And with that encouraging energy in this reading, you have the opportunity with the Wheel of Fortune to create anything for yourself that you want, especially with that Magician card. And so, use this opportunity with that Two of Wands to really think about what you want. Be open to the possibilities. Be open to the world and whatever you want to create for yourself. It's an open book. You aren't bound by the past. Although we do have the Hierophant here, which talks about tradition. So, there may be things from tradition, ancestors, whatever you want to conceive of it, that are open to you to take. But it's like you have the opportunity to put your own spin on things, right? We aren't bound to the way things have been. We have the agency in the present moment to change things, to recreate things, to make whatever world we want for ourselves, to build whatever world we want to. And so, with that opportunity, this reading is really encouraging you to start thinking about brainstorming, creating for yourself whatever world you want to have. We have the agency in this moment, and only by being in the present do we have this to shift and create our worlds however we want to. And so, with that knowledge, what would you do? What would you create to have that opportunity to make anything happen? What would you bring into reality? And this reading is really encouraging you to have that kind of brainstorming session, to really ask yourself, okay, what is it that I want? What would the world be? Got a bird going. That's great. What world would I create if I could? What does a beautiful world mean to me? What would that look like to me? And it's difficult when challenging situations happen, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. The world looks really scary right now to a lot of us, and things are changing and shifting, and there's a lot of unknowns right now. And a lot of times when we're in those kinds of situations, it can be really scary because we don't know what's going to happen. And it's really easy to look at all the bad things and assume the worst. And And so, with this reading, it's kind of encouraging you to take the time to look at your own personal life, because, it's hard because uh, we don't have the ability to control other people. Our world is ours, in the sense that, all we have the ability to do is shift our own world, our own lenses. With all of this swords energy here, there really is this encouragement to view things from new perspectives, to open up to a new perspective, to shift and walk away from older perspectives that maybe were self-limiting, self-limiting thoughts, and open yourself to the possibilities. Because when you do that, you start to see opportunities, right? And when I talk about, shifting your world, creating the world that you want for yourself, it doesn't have to be super woo woo about it. It can be as simple as viewing things from an optimistic lens, so that you see opportunities when they come up. Because when you're stuck in a pessimistic worldview, um, all you can see around you is the confirmation of that pessimistic worldview. And so, if there were small opportunities to do something different, to shift, to change your own world, even if they're small little opportunities, when you have that pessimistic worldview over encompassing everything, right? And remember, I talked about this at the beginning, that there needs to be that balance of things. So you need to be, I think, you do you, right? I'm not saying, sometimes I get stuck in telling you what you need, and I'm just saying, what the reading is showing. You have agency to create whatever world you want for yourself. These are just suggestions. But I think it's important to be realistic about situations, right? Like, if there's difficult things happening, you don't want to pretend like they're not there, right? You don't want to just like blind your eyes to it and only see the things you want to see, because that can be dangerous, right? But ultimately, though, you want to have, here, I'm saying that again, it's important, I think, personally, for me, what I want to do for myself generally, and you could do whatever you want, um, is to have an open view of everything, see the possibilities, see. I personally, I try to view every challenge as an opportunity, right? Every potential difficulty as a way to change things and adapt. And by being so adaptable, it generally helps me find the way to move through, to cope through things, right? Because, you know, challenging situations will always be a thing. Difficulties will always happen. We don't have the power to stop that kind of thing fully, right? But the real question is, when a challenging situation happens, how do you react to that? Because your reaction to challenging situations is in your control. Even if you can't stop, difficult, hard, and sometimes awful things from happening to you, you can control how you react to those situations, what you do with the challenging things that come to you. And by shifting and moving from that perspective, you allow yourself to build the best possible world for yourself, because you're adapting to whatever is happening, and you can create something that might be a little easier for you. So we've got some cards now from the Forest Fae deck, so we'll read those, and then I might pull a couple of others just to see if there's any final messages for you. So we've got the Old One, the Ancestors' Call, Seek Their Wisdom. Ooh, so I talked a little bit about that with the Hierophant, so we'll get into that a little bit more in a second here. We've got Strange Journeys, take control of your quest, choose your companions wisely. Yeah. And I'll say, for this, we'll talk about like your mental companions as well, because we've been talking a lot about mindset in this reading. So it's really, thinking of your, building healthy thoughts for yourself. Now, that doesn't mean, pretending like difficult thoughts aren't there, but, being your own best friend in this life it can go a long way. instead of acting against yourself. By acting with yourself, you can really create an easier time of things. We've got Lady of the Lost, which says, give to others, treasure life and all its magic. Yeah, so, that can talk about gratitude as well. So let's get into that too. So, with that old one there and the Hierophant, I do feel like this reading is talking about opportunities from your own past, your ancestral past. So maybe like talents that run in the family, or, ingenuity that comes from your ancestors, that kind of thing, and it can also talk about lessons from the past, letting go of ancestral traumas and pains and, the difficulty things from your past, from your familial past, with genetics and epigenetics, we kind of inherit a lot of the problems of our ancestors. And sometimes it's up to us to be the ones to end those things. But then we also inherit a lot of gifts from our ancestors too. And so, with those two together, I think it's really encouraging you to ask, for your own personal life, if you've been through a lot of difficult challenges, which I'm kind of getting from this, and, come out the other end, maybe there is help and wisdom in your family tree that can help you unlock, some understanding about your own personal journey and your own personal life that, could mean a lot, Um, so keep that in mind, that's just an important message in this. We got a hornet going on here. So, there may be some anger for you, in particular. Pile number two, there could be a lot of anger, either A, associated with your family or past situations. Take this as it resonates because it's a general reading. But there could also be anger that's geared towards yourself, where there might be parts of yourself that you're not happy with or frustrated with, um, that could come from, that might not be your fault. It could be about your family, how you were raised, but also how they were raised. There could be this long chain of events. And so, just by looking at that, you might be able to come into an easier sense of healing yourself, because I do think that there is this sort of feeling to this reading of letting go of that negative self-talk. I was kind of feeling that before. And, that can come from just taking the time with all this swords energy. There's this level of looking at yourself from a higher perspective coming in here. So I think it's worth taking the time, pile number two, to really ask yourself, where does this come from? If you have a real big negative self-talk going on, looking at it from a bigger perspective, start thinking about your parents, and like, or whoever raised you, and ask yourself, do they have negative self-talk? Maybe I inherited this from them. And if they do, either talking to them, or if you know your family history enough, looking at where that came from, and starting to break down some of those ancestral patterns, it might allow you to view yourself with more grace and to come to a clearer headed sense of yourself. So you're not just holding all of that negative self-image and pain by yourself, right? Not just holding on to it and thinking, oh, well, I'm terrible and I don't, you thinking of all the justifications of that, and start thinking about like, oh, this comes from the way that, my mom was raised and blah, 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 or my dad or my grandparents or whatever, take it for your own situation and how that is. But when you can unlock and untangle some of those things, it allows, like I said, to view yourself with more grace. And so you can shift that self relationship to a self antagonist to a self friend, and working with yourself instead of against yourself, and viewing certain aspects of yourself that maybe you used to put down, viewing them from a much more favorable and positive light. Um, Looking at, like I was saying, some of those talents and ingenuity you get from family members, and not just all of the pain as well. Um, so, take that as it resonates. But I do think that's an important part of this reading. Give to others, treasure life and all its magic. Yeah, and I put that on the Magician. That's great. So, I do think that shift is a little bit stuff that you've already been working on, but I think, we can always do more work on ourselves. And that's not always easy to hear, but sometimes it's important to remember, that this is a lifelong journey, right? That we're always working on healing and getting opening up and healing ourselves, because we live in a sick world. As much as that's not something that we want to hear all the time, there's a lot of pain in this world, and I don't know if any one of us can move through reality without experiencing some kind of suffering, and some of us way more than others. But I think it all just depends on your life and on your situation, and it's important to remember that, and to view ourselves with grace, like I was saying. And sometimes that gratitude can help us shift out of those difficult situations as well, those difficult thought processes. It's there's this really great mindfulness gratitude meditation that I used to watch on YouTube all the time when I was going through a pretty big depression. I used to suffer from depression pretty hardcore, and gratitude really helped me kind of get out of that difficult, pessimistic world, especially like thinking about myself in that way. And one of the really great things, the messages from that meditation, and it's from this group called the Mindful Movement. So if you just searched on YouTube Mindful Movement Gratitude Meditation, or Gratitude Affirmations, there's a lot of really great ones out there. I do think it's worth listening to some of those, and really doing them. But one of the things that they said is, it's difficult to be sad and grateful at the same time. And that's where, some of that mind shifting can come in, you know, because when you practice gratitude, you start seeing the things around you that really, matter, and it can help you shift and stop thinking about all the things that are horrible and start thinking about all the things you really have. Do you have a place to sleep? I'm grateful that I have a bed. I'm grateful that I have food to eat to nourish my body. I'm grateful that my body is strong enough to keep me alive and move through this world. There's so many things that we have to be grateful for that we take for granted sometimes. I'm grateful that I have clean air to breathe, that I have air at all to breathe in my lungs, and I'm able to survive on this world. I'm glad that I have access to water. All of these things that seem trivial, but are actually, so important. And, you have access to those things. And that's a beautiful thing. When you start to think about it, it helps you shift out of, oh, I can't believe that this happened to me, and I can't believe X, Y, and Z, and, all of those little things. And, like I said, like m- gratitude alone can't help you through depression. I didn't say this, but this is something important. If you are going through a super depression, I do recommend therapy as well, because I will say I did see a therapist a lot in my life, and that's really important too. You don't have to, obviously, but I do recommend therapy as an option if you're feeling, depressed and stuff. It's helpful to have somebody to talk to um, who can just walk you through certain things, and can help you see yourself from a different perspective. It's like, being in the dark and then having somebody with a flashlight lead you through. So that's just an aside. You don't have to go into that. Not everybody's going to resonate with that in this reading, but I think it's just important to remember that therapy is always an option. But one thing that I wanted to say before, is that gratitude can be really helpful, but what's also helpful is something called mindfulness. I talked about the mindful movement a little bit, but like mindfulness is being aware of your thoughts enough to know that you're stuck in negative self-talk, you're in negative thoughts, and then know enough to be like, oh, I should go listen to this gratitude meditation right now. Oh, I should start practicing some gratitude. And so, it's a habit. Mindfulness is a habit, and so it just takes practice. It's worth looking into if you don't know anything about mindfulness, but it's when you can get into the practice of it, you start learning how to see your thoughts. And we all slip. It's important to remember. Even I do. Still, like I'll get stuck in negative self-talk and not even realize that I'm in it. And eventually I start to see that it's happening, and I can walk myself out of it. But that's a part of that self-grace, that I was talking about before, that can be really important. Having enough self grace to know, okay, it's okay that I have been in this negative self-talk, and I can walk myself back out of it, and I can it's more about recognizing that you're doing it and coming back into a sense of helping yourself again than getting stuck in it, right? Like, it's okay that you get stuck in negative self-talk. It's actually something to be celebrated when you see that you're stuck and you allow yourself to move into different thinking patterns, right? And so, instead of putting yourself down every time you realize that you're doing that, it's much more helpful to celebrate the realization that you are doing it, right? Because at the end of the day, you are not your thoughts. You are the awareness behind those thoughts. And so, if you're stuck with challenging and difficult thinking patterns, it's important to remember that you don't have to define yourself by that. And so, realizing that you're doing it, putting yourself down isn't going to help that. It's only going to make things worse. Instead, celebrating that you've gone through that epiphany moment and you've realized you're doing it again, and being able to laugh at yourself a little bit and go, oh, here I go again, and being kind to yourself from that perspective, it's going to allow things to shift and move faster and easier. So anyway, pile number 2, I'm going to leave you there. I hope that resonated. Let me know in the comments what you think of that reading. Either way, I love hearing from everybody. I hope that everything is well and that things are good. I just wanted to let you know that I'm going to be doing a significant amount of traveling starting at the end of the summer. And I'll be traveling for a significant amount of months. And so, I don't know how much I'm going to be able to do private readings in that time. So at the moment, I have decided that starting August 1st, I'm going to be suspending my private readings indefinitely. I'm sure that eventually, someday, I will start them again, but I don't know when that's going to be. So if you were interested in getting a private reading from me, I do recommend doing that now. You can go to my website, www.junodrome.com, and there's a link below in the description. But now is the opportunity to get a private reading with me before you can't for a while. So I'm going to be doing. I've extended my sale till that time, and I might be doing some extra heavy discounts. So check the website for any details on that. And definitely, if you were interested in a reading, now is definitely the time to get one from me. So anyway, pile number 2, that was my reading for you. I hope that you are having a wonderful day, and I will see you later. Bye. Hi there, pile number 3. Welcome to your reading. So you chose the reading with this card here, with the kite. And these are important messages you need to hear right now. So they're messages from the universe, from your guides, from spirit, from whatever, however you want to conceive of things. These are messages intended for you in this moment. And so you have this card here, and the back of it says, go where you feel most alive. So there is sort of this, and the wind is going here too, so it's funny. It's like being taken by the wind, flying free, and being blown by the wind in a new direction. So there's a little bit of a sense of aimlessness here, like healthy aimlessness is important for you in this moment. You're being encouraged to fly and go where you feel most alive, to be open to flowing in a new direction, to moving where the winds are taking you, sailing on the winds of change. You know, a lot of times when when we're trying to make something happen in our lives, or we want to manifest something, or we're looking to create a life for ourselves that looks, you know, we have an idea of our trajectory. It's important to, you know, keep in mind where you want to go, but be open enough to allowing the things you don't see to open up. You know, you never have to have 100% everything planned out, because when you leave it open, you leave it an open-ended nature of things, you can kind of flow in the right direction. And so this reading is really encouraging you to take an open-minded approach to your future, and to allow yourself to fly through the wind a little bit, to be taken by the breeze and flow through life in a way where you are caught and fly free, right? Yeah, anyway. So for this reading, we have a bunch of tarot cards and a couple oracle cards. I only have one tarot deck right now because I'm in the middle of traveling. So, and please excuse the chirping bugs out here today. It's kind of loud right now, but hopefully it's not too bad in where you're hearing. But anyway, I just have this one deck, and so we'll read from that. If we need more messages, we can pull from the deck for more cards. So let me just read them all out first, and then we'll dive into the reading. So we've got the Fool. We have the Sun. Oh, that's cool. We have the Hierophant. Some repeat cards from the last pile. That's okay. Got the Wheel of Fortune. There's a possibility that pile number 2 might mean something to you, but we'll see as we go into it. This does feel different, though. Definitely got some other cards. We've got the Justice card. We've got the Three of Cups. We've got the Six of Pentacles. Okay, so yeah, let's dive right into this. You know, the Six of Pentacles can talk about balancing things sometimes in most decks, but in this particular deck, it's depicted as berries on a tree, and so it's almost like the tree is bearing fruit, right? So I do get the sense that you've put in some time and some effort in creating something, in trying to make something happen, in moving in a certain direction, in creating something for yourself, and you're starting to see some results here, right? That the work that you put in creates something new. And there's a little bit of setting sail in this reading as well, you know, being ready to set sail. You've got the Justice card, which can talk about balancing as well. And so there is this sort of this sense of receiving rewards as a part of this reading. So it's like you've come up with an idea, you've come up with a direction for yourself, like I was saying before. You've come up with an understanding for your life and for what things mean for you in this moment, and you are now at the point where you're ready to jump into a new direction, and you're ready to create something different and move in a new way, and create something for yourself that's new. You know, we have this new energy with the Fool. You know, the Fool is a new beginning. It's the primordial card. It's the very first in the whole tarot. It's number 0, right? It's 0, which is the well from which all things sprout, right? So it's like you have this this moment open to you right now to create something new, and it's coming from all of the work that you've already put into your life, into creating a new situation. It's like this new beginning is coming from past work and past acceleration, and you know, with the Wheel of Fortune, it's like this very fortunate period that's opening up to you. You know, you bright sunny day, summertime, very summer vibes here with this kite, you know, flying a kite. And the flying of the kite can talk about, you know, relaxing too. You know, sometimes the Fool is depicted as a person who's like very whimsical, and he's about to jump off a cliff in a certain sense, but there's this sort of sense of whimsy in it as well. And so there's this message of encouragement for you, pile number 3, to relax a little bit. You've got an opening of relaxation coming in, that you put in an incredible amount of work in your past, and now you're seeing the rewards of that, and you're able to celebrate and bask in your own private garden. I'm feeling that for this, which is normally the 9 of Pentacles. But I'm getting some 9 of Pentacles energy from this, even though we don't have it here. I'm getting this feeling with the Sun as well, that you're being encouraged to celebrate yourself in this moment. And, there's a lot of times, there's always more work to be done. There's always something to do. There's always starting something else. There's always the next project. There's always the next big thing. There's always something more, right? But sometimes, also because of that, it's important to celebrate the moments of peace and accomplishment when they come. And this is kind of encouraging you to do that. You got the 3 of Cups, which is the celebration card. And a lot of times it's celebrating with others. So maybe this is like really encouraging you to use the summer energy that we have right now. If you're in the Northern Hemisphere, if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, it's different, but there's still some summer energy coming in regardless, of taking some time out and, maybe going on a vacation or something. There's a bit of that travel energy, taking the time right now to relax and to rejuvenate and to celebrate. Like I was saying, there's always going to be the next thing. So instead of, if you've come to the end of a cycle, you've come to the end of a project, you've come to the culmination of something, and you're about ready to jump and set sail into something different and something new, before you do so, take some time out to really celebrate yourself, to have a good time, to enjoy the sunshine, to relax, to rejuvenate yourself, to vacation, to vacate, right? There's an encouraging energy to do that. And, with the Wheel of Fortune on your side, it's like you have the time and the space here, that the universe is giving you the time and the space to relax, to rejuvenate, to take some time out for yourself. And, you really take that opportunity as it comes, because we don't always have the time to rest. And sometimes, we're in situations that are go, 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 go. And, they're very intense, and there's a lot that's asked of you, and you have to work really hard. And so, in this moment, you're getting some peace and some quiet and some joyous nothing energy. The 0 can talk about nothing as well, and that things sprout from nothing sometimes, that all things come from the same source. And there's this kind of energy here of being in that primordial open stages, the nothing stages. Let's see here. We've got 3 cards from the Forest Fae deck. We have the Sentinel. New opportunities shall manifest in unexpected ways. Yeah, so you definitely have something new coming in here. We've got the Troll Fae. Follow the secret signs, as treasures can be found where you least expect them. Yes, okay, I'm getting some real clear messages from this that I'm going to talk about in a second here. And we have Forest Sister. The moon shines brightest after the storm. So, pile number 3, I'm getting the sense that not only do you deserve a nice break and vacation, but I think that, if you're feeling any kind of stuck energy, which I don't necessarily feel here, but there's a little bit of that, especially with that last card, or if you're feeling like you don't know what your new direction, your next thing is going to be yet, and you've got a little bit of anxiety about that, this is kind of saying that resting energy, that break energy, that taking some time off energy, by doing so, you're going to get new ideas, right? That those new opportunities manifest in unexpected ways. So it's sort of like by taking this respite, by maybe going on a vacation or exploring something new, by going somewhere else that's not a requirement, that you're not telling yourself you have to do, but just being open to whatever. By doing that, you open yourself up to finding those new opportunities. You give yourself the time to to find a new way of being, it's like unexpected things are going to pop into your life when you take that break. So it's like you have to take this rest. You don't have to do anything. I'm just saying, it's being suggested to you to take this break because new ideas and new things are going to come to you in unexpected ways when you do so. And then follow the secret signs. That can talk about how, like, sometimes, the universe can talk to us in really funny ways with signs and symbols that we aren't expecting. And so sometimes you have to be, open, with this sort of blowing by the wind a little bit. It might, that might be not come in your wheelhouse. You might be the kind of person who overly plans things or needs to have everything lined out. And so, that might cause you a little bit of anxiety by not having a plan in this moment. But by doing so, you can open yourself up to seeing these signs and symbols as they pop into your life. I've got a little bit of a little mini bee next to me here on this plant, and worker bees bring things into the world, and so I do think you have this strong worker bee ethic. But that's another example of those kinds of signs. They come in unexpected ways. And so, by being open to those signs and symbols, you start to see new meanings of things, and the larger meanings of the universe can come into your life and give you those signs and symbols as you need them. And so sometimes being open to blowing by the wind a little bit, even though it can be a little stressful, it can really help you sometimes too. And, you don't have to be totally, planless. It's just, think of it like sailing, right? When you're sailing a boat, you don't necessarily know, like, you're going to have to move the sails to blow by the wind, right? The wind is going to blow in whatever direction it's going to blow in. We don't have control over the wind, but we do have control over the sail. So if you have a trajectory in a direction that you want to go in, by taking a sailing approach to life instead of a, GPS, having your GPS set, you're going to be able to, move to whatever conditions and flow whatever direction you need to. And that should allow you to be able to create a new opportunity for yourself that maybe you wouldn't have known before. And, new directions and new things that you wouldn't have been able to see otherwise if you had everything planned out. I have to do X, Y, and Z in this particular way, in this particular manner. It allows for the universe to throw things into your path that might help you, even if they might seem challenging at first. They could bring you these new directions and new ideas and new perspectives that you would have never seen for yourself and you would have never imagined for yourself. And so by being open to that kind of perspective, it allows for you to create something and bring something into your life that you wouldn't have expected otherwise. And it could create something even better than you could ever imagine for yourself. And so this reading is definitely encouraging you to take that sort of approach as you move forward, to be really open-minded about the future and about things and not feel super closed about the specifics about how something needs to happen. But by being really open-minded about things, it's going to allow directions to come to you that you wouldn't have expected otherwise, that may be more aligned to your ultimate happiness than you could ever plan for yourself, by taking a super planned approach to things. I wanted, oh, not this deck. Well, okay. Something wants to come out of this deck. Oh yeah, it's this one. Get lost in a daydream, right? Don't be afraid to daydream here. Don't be afraid to imagine anything for yourself. Sometimes, it can seem silly to be in those daydreaming energy, because we want to have a real practical understanding of things. But by daydreaming, you allow for inspiration to come to you in ways that are unexpected, that can't be planned. It's inspiration that comes from the universe itself, or from it was this one. Oh, that's fun. This card I saw, but I was like, I don't know if this is the one, but it is. Okay, so you got the Empress, as well, and the Empress talks about being in this sort of, she's pregnant. She's normally depicted as pregnant, and so it's like being in this primordial. We had that primordial with the Zero and the Fool as well. I do think you are on the precipice, pile number 3, of coming up with a new idea, of coming up with a new project or a new creative venture or a new anything like that, where you're going to be in this gestational phase, right? And the daydreaming whimsical energy is a gestation phase for the creation of something new that you're going to birth into this world. And in order for that gestation to happen, you need to have, once again, you don't need to do anything. I'm suggesting to you a great way for that is, oops, we got blown away. Pausing. Okay. We're getting blown by the wind, which is exactly a part of this reading here. That's great. So yeah, being open to be blown in a new direction, pile number 3, is ultimately the most important message for this reading, because you're going to be taken in a new direction that you can't see yet, and in order for it to come in, you have to be open to being blown by the wind in a new direction, to allow yourself to flow in a new direction that you don't know exactly where it's going to head yet. And by doing so, you're going to put yourself in this gestational phase, like I was saying with the Empress, so that you can birth into this world a new creative thing that's super important for you to do. And this work is like super important to create. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a creative venture. It could be a business idea. It could be anything. It could be absolutely anything. It doesn't have to even be monetary. It's whatever you feel for you that resonates. But there is, with that Empress, this feeling of being so open to the world, taking some time, like I was saying, to go stop and smell the flowers, right? And being in this, like being in nature, going off into nature and experiencing the beauty of the forest might help jog within you new creative ideas and inspirations to bring something new into the world. And yeah, you've got that coming in, pile number 3. So anyway, I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to make this just a quick one. Let me know in the comments what you think of it either way. It sounds like you've got really exciting things coming to you. So take the time out to take some rest and take a break, because that break is going to bring in something new for yourself that you can't even imagine at this moment. Yeah, anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. I love hearing from you. I wanted to let each of these piles know today. I'm going to be doing some extended traveling starting at the end of the summer. For a few months, and so I'm still going to continue the channel. We'll still have general readings, but I'm going to be suspending my private readings for a while. I don't know how long, so we're going to say indefinitely for now, starting August 1st. So if you wanted to get a private reading with me, now is the opportunity to do so. I'm going to continue my sale that I started a few months ago until August 1st, and I might even have some extra discounted specials and readings going on in this summer period until August 1st. So check out the website for that. But if you wanted a private reading from me at some point, now is the time to do so, because I don't know when I'm going to restart those again. Just because I'm going to be away and things are going to be complicated, and I don't know what my life is going to look like as I'm into that. Like I said, this YouTube channel is going to continue. If anything, I want to be able to have more time to make even more videos for you. So I have to suspend the private readings for the time being. So starting August 1st, I'm going to be suspending them indefinitely. So like I was saying, if you wanted a private reading from me, now is the time to get one. Anyway, pile number 3, I'm going to leave you there. I hope that you are having a great day, and I hope that this reading serves you well, and have a wonderful day. I'll see you later. Bye.